Hello and welcome to this video where I'm going to talk about the Ice Nova of Frostbolt build. I'm going to approach it from my character, how I've found the particular skill and the build and all that. So this is my perspective on my playing. Now, I have been changing around a lot of things. I am not min-maxed or anything. I am level 89. And we have a tree that looks like this. I've been changing some things around, added a bit more crit into it to get a little bit more damage. I've been trying a no life, no mana setup, and one downside to doing that, I don't have full chaos res, so I need to fix that because the chaos degen is obviously a big deal. So the negatives of this, or a positive depending on how you like to play, is that you pretty much put your Frostbolt in here, because obviously Ice Nova Frostbolts does Ice Novas on Frostbolts. 50% of the time, once you cast 100 mana skill or more, it can be any skill, it doesn't have to be this particular skill. It could be your movement skill if it costs enough. It then launches it on the particular Frostbolt, and then it does it itself. Now, if you don't like just holding one button and just moving around the map, then you might not like it. I particularly don't mind it, but you can use the Frostbolts separately. You cast the Frostbolts by themselves. I'll put it down here, put the Frostbolts on. So you cast the Frostbolt and then you do the Ice Nova. It's 100% guaranteed that way, but I find it a bit janky doing it that way. You might find it completely different, so each to their own. But I don't mind the particular build being pretty much a one button build, but you might find it a negative. Another negative is depending on how you go about it, obviously there is many different ways to do it. Getting the physical reduction is pretty much same as like doing a witch. The physical damage reduction is something you need to focus on, because the elemental is relatively easy, because obviously resistances. So once you get the resistances up, and then you start mitigating damage towards similar to this, 10% of fizz damage from hits taken as lightning damage. So the particular way to go about it is either try to get some armor evasion, either coming down here, spell suppression, and getting some evasion nodes sort of thing, or obviously that's going to get a minimal amount because you don't get enough into this tree. Another way is armor, trying to get a bunch of armor to then mitigate the damage once your flasks are cooking. It's the particular way at the moment I am going, trying to get some armor to do the fizz mid and then do all that. But you can obviously come up here and take all the witch nodes. So that's a negative, but obviously you can get around it. But that is not a roadblock, but like you need to address sort of thing. A positive is that it's easy to get going once you got the skills, because obviously you need the Ice Nova of Frostbolts, and then obviously Frostbolts. Now you can do a decent amount of damage on just a 4 link with the Ice Nova. That is a huge positive. and the weapons aren't anything special, and all you need is spell damage, lightning damage, and mana regen, and then cast speed. Especially if you're going to use the Kitava's Thirst, because you get 15% reduced cast speed, and that affects the if you get unlucky and get 50% no as far as cast, then you can take a lot of damage in that time, because obviously you're not casting your full damage. But having that cast speed up, I think mine's 4 something, 3.68. I think with the onslaught it becomes around 4.5. Getting this up towards 5 is preferable, based on numbers I've hit, and then the Echoing Shrine, getting one of them, you can just see the complete difference of the cast speed. So that is an important thing to the build that you can't overlook. Another negative that you might find as playing one of these type of builds is that the mana is your life as much as your life. So you need to make sure your mana pool, especially with Arcane Cloak, where is it? Obviously that guard skill is important, that you get a large portion of mana, and obviously the closer towards the 5-6k the better. So that's a negative, that you're not just focused on life, you got to focus on both. But then obviously another positive is, once you get it regenerating and everything, your defense is mixed between life and mana. The power charges are through Ascendancy, but it allows you to use things like this. This is permanent. It allows us to use 4 curses, and then obviously the cast speed pretty much negates almost the Kitava's Thirst. So that's a bit of extra more damage or defense depending on what one to use. Overall, it is fun to play. It can be slightly boring if you're more into that smack him in the face style, obviously, because you are literally just doing this. But depending on your play style, depends on whether you enjoy that or not. And I would say a massive positive is that you can go a lot of different ways, change things up, and still not destroy the build. So if you're someone who doesn't really know which way to go or anything, you can choose one way, change it another, and it won't brick your build. That is a huge positive, I reckon, for a particular build, play, or whatever, that you can change things up and you're not going to brick your build. As long as you don't make the cost under 100 if you're using Kitava's Thirst, and as long as you don't totally destroy your mana regen or something. As you can see, we didn't cast it at all that time. That's what cast speed helps with, because less time in between the fails. Another thing to watch out for is stuns. Like the goats jumping on you, the fire throwers, every time they hit you, getting stunned stops your casting, which means you don't do damage, which means you are taking damage. So that's another thing you got to watch out for. It isn't cheap to get some of the jewels that stun block recovery. You need, I think it's 962, 62% stun block recovery. It's the same thing that's on the second tier of the Brian King, but obviously you need to end up getting a total of 962, I think. But I would recommend you try it if you like this type of playstyle. If you're looking for something different or whatever, do play this, because as a Templar, you go through, you can do like a Firestorm leveling, going through doing Firestorm. You can do the Frostbolts. It's a little slow, but you can get some decent damage through the campaign. But most people go the Frostbolt, the Ice Storm, Firestorm for leveling after they change from Rolling Magma, Holy Totem, Flame Wall, that sort of thing. So the Templar is very versatile and you should try it, and the positives outweigh the negatives. The negatives are more whether you are really into playing the style or not, and how much time you want to put into actually building a character. There are more complicated builds out there that are not nearly as fun, in my opinion, to play. This is simple, it does damage, you can do things, and it's just something you should try. It's hard to put across my opinion of playing it, so do try it. Give me your opinion if you have played it, or if you play it after this video is done. Do give me your opinion on whether you like using the Katala's Thirst, or whether you like doing the other way, whether you went up towards the Witch or down towards Duelist, or over near the Marauder like I am. But that is my opinion on this particular guy, based on my playing of it. It is very fun, and I probably will keep playing it. And we'll see you next time, and goodbye.